Welcome to the Classroom Café, where it's all about brewing the conversation between fellow educators. This special presentation is brought to you by the United Federation of Teachers and the union's Member Assistance Program. Thank you for joining us today. We hope this podcast inspires you, nourishes you, and motivates you. Now let's get started.
Hi there. Once again, welcome to this episode of the Classroom Cafe podcast. We're so glad you could join us. This is part 2 of our conversation with Lexi Moulet. Last time she joined us on teens and mental health, and this time we're talking about mindfulness. Here we go.
So thinking about going back to what you shared with us, Lexi, about DBT and being a DBT clinician, mindfulness is a big part of DBT. And can you talk to us a little bit about mindfulness, the benefits of it? Let's start there. What are some of the benefits of mindfulness?
Yeah, absolutely. So mindfulness, as it is in DBT, is basically the practice of being present in any given moment without judgment, right? And doing it on purpose to really find time to say, I'm going to pay attention to the here and now in this moment and try to let any judgments I'm having kind of pass through me and just be as present as I possibly can. And the benefits to it is that usually when we're more mindful, we take in more of the here and now. And it doesn't set us up later for feeling frustration because there's an expectation of how things should or shouldn't pan out, right? So like sometimes when we're not mindful, we have expectations on how things are going to turn out or how we want them to be. And then if we're not paying attention to how things are going, we'll end up with a result and then be frustrated with that result, right? Versus being present in the moment and noticing everything that's happening around you. It lowers your blood pressure. It allows you to connect more deeply with the people you're around and with yourself. It keeps you out of your head in terms of future tripping, right? And that's a lot of where our anxiety comes from as human beings, right? Looking into the future and saying, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Is this how it's going to turn out? Or if we're looking back in the past and saying, I wish I did this differently, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, right? And finding all of that. Mindfulness, albeit even for a short amount of time, let's say 10 minutes a day, it allows us to cut all that red tape out and to be in the moment and not engage in any of the what ifs or how comes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything you said, I think, is really, you said it in a way that is very relatable and understandable.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's really hard to be mindful. I mean, I've been practicing mindfulness for a long time, and there's plenty of times where, my emotion brain will take over and I'll be anxious and I'll be thinking about, again, what if, or should I try this? Should I do that? And what happens is I totally miss the moment. And, I'm talking on a heavier scale, on a lighter scale, you guys will get a kick out of this. I did this the other night, and it's a moment of mindfulness. I was texting my sister something, and I'm rewatching Grey's Anatomy right now, which is taking me approximately 12 years to get through. And I'm rewatching it, and something happened, and I looked up from my phone. I said, "Oh shoot, let me rewind back. Let me see what just happened because I missed it." And then I press play. And then I go back on my phone, I'm texting my sister, and then I miss it again. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So finally, I rewind it, I put my phone down, and my eyes are just glued on the TV. And it's a silly example, but that's a moment of me being mindless and missing something, right?
Yeah.
And that happens.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've done that myself. Been watching something, and I'm like, oh no, I missed it.
It's a funny thing. And I think that, also in a lighter example, mindfulness helps us, like I said before, connect deeper with the people that we care about. My sister's going to listen to this at some point. She's going to hear me ripping her apart. She loves to talk, this girl. She's my best friend. Love her. Loves to talk. But every now and then when we're chit-chatting, I'll get distracted, or I will start thinking of things like work, just like everybody, right? You know, a little daydreaming, kind of drifting off, depending on like where I am, if I have a lot on my mind, right? And I'll tell you, there's a lot of times where if she's saying something, I'll be distracted because I'm thinking of either the future or the past, what I have to do, what I have to get done, how I did certain things, you know, the day before, and I'm missing everything she's saying. And it's not hard to notice when someone's not really paying attention to you, right? It's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
You're getting the short responses like, "Oh, that's." She and I joke that every time she knows I'm not listening, I say something like, "Oh, that's crazy." It's so obvious, and she'll be like, "Okay, we're done here. Call me later." But that's a moment that I missed to connect with her. And I could have been sitting there listening to what she was saying, focusing on my breath, and really just taking in the conversation and connecting with my sister in a really lovely moment, as opposed to trying to multitask and do tons of things and then get frustrated with the outcome later.
That's a really beautiful, beautiful example, and I think most people can relate to that, or doing that, or being your sister, having someone else that is doing that to you, right? I think everyone can relate to that, especially this day and age. We're all so distracted, and there's so many distractions around us, and we're all doing so much, and yeah, yeah.
It's hard not to multitask, right? I think that we all do it, and we need to do it. I think that's how we function a lot of the time. But if you're somebody who notices that you get frustrated really often, and because that's what I find when I really struggle with mindfulness, when I'm not being mindful, I notice my frustration and irritability is increased because I'm not paying attention, and then things turn out in a way I didn't want it to, and I didn't have a chance to interfere with it sooner by way of mindfulness. I was just letting things go, and then all of a sudden it turned out to be not what I wanted. So when I'm irritable or frustrated, it's always a good sign for me to start practicing more mindfulness, and just even a little bit, like 10 minutes a day, breathing, waking up and doing some breath work, or even before you go to bed, doing gratitude in the moment. That's mindfulness. Lots of fun ways you can do it.
Yeah. So, Lexi, what are some ways that we can introduce mindfulness to teens and even let them know the benefits of it, and some things that they can do to be more mindful in their everyday?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because I always start my DBT groups with a brief meditation. I've been doing it like that for years. And the reason I do that is because I want everyone's coming in from different points of their day, right? Some people are just getting off of work. Some people are just waking up. Some people are, just having their morning coffee. And I find that meditation is a nice way to, to ground everybody together and be like, okay, it's group time, right? But my teenagers have told me in no uncertain terms that they hate meditation. They have not been shy telling me how much they absolutely hate meditation. They don't want to do it. So I've been faced with a bit of a challenge on trying to find something that is mindful, but also teen friendly, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. What is your secret? Share.
Well, I'm still figuring it out, but I have a couple things that I'm noticing that they like a lot more. I will say they don't like the traditional meditation where I would throw on some music and do a guided meditation, right? Where it would be like a safe space or something like that. They like shorter term things. So one of the techniques that we used recently that they said that they enjoyed was called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's a mindfulness activity that focuses on your five senses. And what you do is you take a few deep breaths to start, get into a good headspace as best as you can, and then we list 5 things you can see in this moment, so using your sight. And then 4 things you can smell, using your sense of smell. 3 things you feel, using your sense of touch. 2 things that you maybe are hearing, and then 1 thing that you're tasting, if anything at all. And it's just a nice way to ground yourself in your body, right? To be like, oh, okay, I'm seeing my computer, I see my dog, I feel the sweat, the blanket on top of me, I feel the fan blowing. It puts you in your body in the moment. So that's one of the ones that they liked. Have you guys ever done that one before?
Yes. Yeah, we've done that one a couple of times in a couple of our map workshops.
It's a good one, and a couple others. One of the other ones that they have liked is coloring, which sounds funny, but coloring is actually so great. I don't know if you guys ever do this. I actually do this. I have a mandala coloring book, and like there's nothing better to me than throwing on some TV, like something I'm watching, and then coloring and just listening and just being with the paper and the pad and using my colored pencils. There's something very zen about it. Have you guys ever done anything like that?
I haven't.
You haven't or have
I
done?
haven't.
Oh, I mean, to each their own, but again, getting creative because they don't want to do the traditional sense. I think that this has been helpful. I'll even tell them, okay, guys, grab your coloring book. We're going to spend 5 minutes coloring, not talking, just focusing on what we're putting down on the paper right here. And it's very quick, easy way to just stay in the moment, right? And is it possible that your mind wanders? Yes, of course, but there's no right and wrong or perfect way to be mindful. It's all about practice. A couple others that I have found helpful is the perfect room meditation. This one's fun. I just started doing it and I've gotten so much good feedback from my teens about it. It's kind of similar to a regular meditation in the sense of, I ask them to turn their camera off and to get comfortable. And I guide them through a meditation that basically asks them to create their perfect room, right? No money matters, no size matters, location doesn't matter. If they could create a room that was so perfect for them, what would it look like? What would it have in it? Would there be any scents going? Who would be there with them? Would there be big windows? Would they have a big comfy couch with a Game Boy, or oh my God, I'm so old, Game Boy. What the hell am I trying to say? A PlayStation, right? Yep. Things like that. Like, and then after the meditation, they get to share a little bit. What did their perfect room look like? And it's a fun way to use their creativity. So there's a couple. Oh, and then I'll give you one more that I have found really helpful as well. And I actually do this with my clients a lot when they're feeling struggles with anxiety and they're having maybe even a panic attack in the moment. There's a game that we call the Celeb name game. And I know. And the way that this goes is, and I actually use this myself for my own struggles with anxiety, and it always helps. The way we do it is you come up with a first celebrity you could think of. So let's just say Jerry Seinfeld, right? And you have to think of another celebrity that has the first letter of the last name. So Seinfeld, so S. So the next one might be Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? And then you have to think of another with G. And you kind of keep going, right? And it's interesting. I do it in the groups a lot because it's a way where your brain can't focus on two things at 100% rate at once, right? So if you're having an anxiety attack and you're thinking of all the things that are making you spiral right now, but then we're like, let's play the celeb name game. Part of that energy is allotted to, or that mental bandwidth is allotted to thinking of what's the next celeb name? What's the next, right? What's the next letter I can use? And it decreases some of that mental bandwidth that goes towards what's making you anxious. And it actually works.
That's a great technique. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, it's fun. And look, maybe it's not celebrities, maybe it's something different. Maybe they really like dog breeds and they can, try to list as many dog breeds as they can possibly think of, or list the states, right? They can,
or sports teams,
or sports teams, exactly. Or right, exactly. Sports teams or athletes that they like. I mean, I just said celebs because that's something that I would do, but they can make it their own. And I have had a lot of great success with this one. Another one that I know that they really like is visual breathing. So, a lot of the time, a lot of them actually have been telling me that they have downloaded some of those apps, right? Like the Calm app, which I have to get it. I can't believe I haven't even done it yet. I should download it. But a lot of them absolutely love that app. And whether it's through the Calm app or it's on YouTube or whatever, visual meditation, and usually there's one with like a lotus flower and it has kind of light music in the background, and basically when the flower is collapsed upon itself, it's an exhale, and then it opens up, and that's the inhale. And then you watch it again go back down, and it's an exhale, and you just sync your breath up with it. And it's a no frills way to just kind of regulate your breath. And a lot of them are comfortable with that. It's, sometimes they don't like to admit that they like doing some of these things because it's like, I guess, lame or something. maybe they think it's a little lame. But every now and then I'll have a client tell me after the group, of course not in front of anybody, oh, I like that one. That one was fun. But so I think that they like it even if they act like they don't like it. Regulating your breath can always be helpful. And then the last one is a favorite song, mindful listening to their favorite song. So pick their favorite song that they really like and let them sit with it for the amount of time, put their phone down, no texting, close your eyes, and listen to the song in its entirety from start to finish. And see if they notice anything new that they haven't noticed before. Maybe new instrumentals or different hi-hat that they hadn't heard, or a lyric that they didn't know was that specific lyric, or a beat that they didn't recognize before. And that's a fun way to let them have some options in it. Like, what's your favorite song, right? What do you want to listen to? And be mindful at the same time. So it gives them a little empowerment with being able to choose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just threw a lot at you guys.
No, this is exactly what we need, right?
Yeah, we love examples and resources and things that we can do and that our listeners can utilize also. So this is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully it helps some of you guys. I mean, it's, I guess I say all of this with the addendum that it's all trial and error, right? And sometimes, like Selma had said before, our teenagers don't even really know what they want and need. But sometimes they do. And sometimes it's okay to even ask and say, what can I do and support you this moment, right? Or what do you need from me? And they might know. They might say, I just need you to listen to me. I need you to give me 5 minutes of space. I need you to show more interest in my hobbies, whatever it might be. So it's always okay to ask too. There's no shame in that.
And that's also by asking or being curious and giving them space to talk and share.
Exactly. That interest is huge.
Well, thank you, Lexi. I think everything that you've shared here will definitely be a benefit to our listeners. We appreciate your time and all of the years of experience that you have invested into mental health and to teens now. We're so excited about that. Where can folks connect with you if they wanted to follow up, if they wanted to maybe even enroll in your group? How could they find you?
Absolutely. Selma, thank you for that. And by the way, I'm so grateful to have been here with you guys and have this discussion. It was really fun. People can reach out to me on my cell. I can give that information or my email. My email is wisemindIC for individual counseling @gmail.com. You can always go onto Google and do Wise Mind Counseling NYC, and it's one of the first ones that pops up on the Google page there. So always feel free to reach out, whatever works best for anybody. I'm always here to help and offer support, or even if it's just resources for books. We recently started a support group for parents whose kids struggle with borderline personality disorder, and it's filling up. It's a great group. It's sometimes
That's wonderful.
it's hard for parents to know. I mean, that's the whole crux of this conversation, right? It's hard for parents and teachers to know how to help. And I think getting the support for themselves is helpful as well.
Lexi, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, your energy, and for sharing with our listeners where they can find you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking time on a rainy Friday to chat with me.
This concludes part 2 of our conversation with Lexi Moulay. And in case you missed it, we hope you'll go back and check out episode 1 on teens and mental health.
Once again, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Classroom Café. If you are a UFT member, the Members Assistance Program can be reached at 212-701-9620 or at mapinfo@uft.org.